Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call the select board meeting to order on August 30th at 7 p.m. We've got a very limited agenda tonight, one item. There will be no public comment. Tonight, we're going to continue the process of appointing a new police chief. We had interviews last night of 2 internal candidates. Tonight, we're going to discuss where we stand and possibly vote on appointing a new police chief. So I'm going to start tonight with Mr. Dennington and ask you for your comments as far as where you are at tonight.
Sure. Thank you, Kathy. Well, first off, I don't know how everyone else felt, but I felt kind of like the energy in the room last night was a time where you feel really good about the town. I felt really, you could really feel the of both men, their how the pride they take in their jobs and how seriously they've taken the whole process here of applying and putting themselves out to be the next police chief of the town. So I think all of us really should recognize and appreciate both Acting Chief Newell and Sergeant McCarthy. And I personally, I am going to support Acting Chief Newell, and I think that it really comes down to me is his readiness to move to the next level of to be the next police chief. And for me, I thought, you know, in the questions that we asked, you know, one of the last questions that just happened to be the question that I asked was that complicated multi-part, what scares you about the job? What is your, you know, learning curve? And I thought it really kind of crystallized it for me that Acting Chief Newell said in kind of a very humble way, I'm not really scared to take on this job because feels that he's ready for it. And he said he's been training his whole life in the various positions he's taken. And I think that some of us on the board have also gotten to know him from his work as being lieutenant and then acting chief the last roughly 6 months. And I feel that I've got a comfort level, confidence about making him being the next police chief. And I thought it was also interesting where, you know, we had to kind of prod him again. Well, what about like learning curve and the next things? And I think he said, you know, the next level is also kind of, I think in the last 6 months or so as the acting chief position, he's also been, you know, has gotten familiar with interacting on a day-to-day basis or with the town administrator and the townhouse staff, but also then the next stage is really working with us and partnering with us and the different boards and committees in the town, like the select board and the advisory, about setting the budgets, doing long-term planning. And I also appreciate, I think he recognized that that's the next, really the one area, I guess, that's kind of the next level that he's looking forward to. So those are the reasons why I'm going to vote for acting chief.
Thank you. Mr. Stivers.
Thank you. I'll echo your comments, Andrew. It was actually very encouraging to hear the comments from both candidates. I think we have 2 strong candidates there. And I also give the nod to Acting Chief Newell in that his experience as an acting chief for the last 6 months, I think is important here. And I also think that, again, his answers to his questions to me gave him a little bit of an edge here. And not that Sergeant McCarthy is not a strong candidate, but you got to draw a line of distinction somewhere there. So I give Chief Newell and Chief Newell my vote. Thank you.
Ms. Braccio.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody. I'd just like to say, I think that as a town, we're grateful to have 2 such outstanding candidates step forward for this position. And I think we're truly blessed in that sense. I think there were some great strengths in both candidates. In Sergeant McCarthy, I appreciated his building relationships for recruitment, his reverse mentoring, utilizing regional training to help offset some of the costs, and collaboration. He stressed that a lot. For Acting Chief Newell, I appreciated that looking at 9 other towns' departments' policies, enrolling in a budgeting class. I think it was important for me. He talked about relationships with other chiefs and other towns, programs for memory issues and autism. And he has been involved in policymaking. So I think that for me, the leadership of being a lieutenant has prepared Acting Chief Newell for this position. So for those points, I would support him to be the next chief. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Braccio. Ms. Malinowski.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank both the candidates for applying and following the process and coming last night to be interviewed. I think the town has been very well served with both of these men in their leadership roles. And I look forward to both of them continuing to serve the town. For me, there were 3 categories that were important to me for our new chief, and that is policymaking, leadership, and budgetary aspects. And I think both candidates recognize that they probably haven't had as much exposure to the budget side as they would have liked. But I think we have a very strong financial team, advisory committee that can help fill the void with that and kind of coach them on expectations throughout that process. In terms of the other 2 categories, I think Acting Chief Newell's experience of 18 years of being a command officer kind of capitalized his strengths on that. And I think with Sergeant McCarthy being in town his whole life, being a resident was also a great asset for him. And as a resident, I'm very appreciative of that. But I think in terms of the leadership and, Acting Chief Newell having been in the position for the last 6 months and, with no notice taking that role on, I think he was well prepared for it. And I think the process worked as it should. So I'll be supporting Acting Chief Newell tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So before I get started, I concur with the budget comment, but that's we can deal with that. Overtime is important. The whole budget is important. It's a big budget. So I thought that the process that we decided to undertake was thorough and fair. I think we owed it to the town to do that. I think we owed it to the current police department, and we owed it to the 2 candidates. So I am pleased with the process that has gotten us to where we are tonight. I think we've done a good job, and again, compliments to the 2 of you for getting us there. And it was really helpful with your experience. Lisa, have you appointed a chief? Did you do Chief Achilles?
I did.
Okay, so you're the only one of the 5 of us that's ever appointed chief. So this was all a new process for us. So I think we took our time and we were thorough and thoughtful and understood the seriousness of what we were trying to do here. I echo a comment I saw on my Southborough today from someone who said that they're both good men. I think they absolutely are both good men, and we saw that, and I'm very proud to say that they serve on the Southborough Police Force. I didn't know either gentleman at all before this started, so I got to know him a little bit and was really, really pleased with what I saw. So that was good. It appears that my colleagues tonight are prepared to appoint Chief Newell, to Acting Chief Newell to the position of the police chief. I concur. But I would say to Sergeant McCarthy, you acquitted yourself very well. It was a pleasure to hear you last night. I love the story about what you did when you were a teenager, when you were had to make good on something you've done. I thought that was a refreshing story, and I'm very candid of you to do it. So you've got a very bright future. I know this will be hard to take for a while, but I think with the person you are, you will go on and you will continue to shine and do great things in your life. So thank you very much for applying also. Okay, anything else? All right, so Mr. Purple is going to read the motion that we are going to vote on.
So the motion that the board would entertain this evening would be to move that the board appoint Ryan Newell to the position of police chief for the town of Southborough, contingent upon a background and credit check and successful contract negotiations.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion before we vote? Lisa?
Aye.
Okay, so Lisa's voted, roll call vote, Lisa's aye. Andrew?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Chelsea?
Aye.
Aye. I for Cook, so 5-0 vote to appoint acting chief Newell as our new police chief.
Yes.
All right.
And a second vote from the board, if you could this evening, ask that the board also move that the select board authorize the town administrator to conduct a background and credit check on the preferred police chief candidate.
So moved.
Second?
Roll call vote, Lisa?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Chelsea?
Aye.
Cook is aye, so 5-0.
Thank you.
So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the open meeting so that we can go into executive session?
So move.
Second.
Roll call vote, Lisa?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Chelsea?
Aye.
Cook is aye, 5-0. Go ahead.
So I move that the board will be entering into executive session for MGL Chapter 38, Section 21, and not returning to open session to discuss contract negotiations for the police chief. Exemption 2, as the chair has determined that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the town's position.
Second?
Roll call vote, Lisa?
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
Sam?
Aye.
Chelsea?
Aye.
Cook is aye, so 5-0 for that motion. Okay. So Vanessa, we'll wait for you to.
Still have two people in the pen, just missed.
Still?